Hey everybody, welcome to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb.
Hi, I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
I'm actually gonna.
God, that sounded so weird.
I'm also gonna adjust this real quick because it does
Yeah,
look off.
we're having some slight technical difficulties today.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not look pretty. I could not stand that. Like it's still
Like-
slanted, but I can't do much about that. But at least it's
Yeah.
not. At least it's more centered.
Yeah, like Mr. Communications Major is like, this doesn't fucking look right.
I need a third person to be behind. I need somebody to be the me that I am for Scotty's shows.
Yeah.
I need somebody back there moving the cameras for me, setting that stuff up while we run the show. But yeah. So normally we talk a little bit about what we've been up to in our weeks. That's outside of Star Wars before we get into the Star Wars topics. So I'll let you start as usual, and we'll kind of.
I got a couple of things. I didn't get the chance to tell you, like, the story I was going to tell you before I had to go and, like, throw stuff away.
Yeah, because we were running wild. I had
A
car
lot of
issues getting my
things-
drinks. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then I chit chatted a good bit with Scotty when I got here, rather than setting up immediately. Even though we were here early, we were here an hour before. But
So,
yeah,
I work in retail. Long story short.
really, you work in retail.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever said that on the show. Go ahead. Sorry.
And the other night, at around like 15 minutes to closing, because where I work at, we close at 10.
Was this Tuesday or was this
This was yesterday.
yesterday? Okay.
Yeah, and
Because I know
It was-
Tuesday you also worked until
Yeah.
10.
it was very busy
Yeah.
yesterday. My entire shift was stuck between essentially blowing up balloons and running the register,
Oh,
and just running back and forth between the two.
did y'all just have like a really big call-in order of balloons?
Mm-mm. Nope, just for the little place where we keep them.
Oh, okay. But I would assume like you're blowing them up because you got to replace them then. So obviously somebody bought a bunch of
Somebody
balloons.
did not buy a bunch of balloons. We do it for like a display.
Oh, okay. Oh, and so when they just happen to
Yeah.
deflate, you got to reset.
Yeah. That bit is not relevant to the story, but it's important to know
Yeah.
what I was doing,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
for 4.5 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
And so this little old lady and I think her son come to the front of the store to the checkout. That's fine. That's normal. You're supposed to do that when you want to buy things.
Especially at this particular store. Like, it's not surprising that. Yeah.
So they go and they they put all their stuff up. I ring them up because at this point the other person who was working there, which is the shift manager, also has gone. She's taken her drawer out basically because they have to do that
Yeah, because
to
you
get
got
their
to.
stuff counted.
Yeah, because by the end of their shift, they got to have everything counted so that way the company knows how much y'all made and how much y'all. Yeah.
Mhm.
And in that, it matches
Yeah.
the registers and
The
everything.
unfortunate thing is on busy nights like this, it's just me and my register, which can cause problems if the following series of events occurs.
I'm guessing account started, but then a bunch of customers.
No. Account started and it got done, right?
Yep.
Everything so far so good. And this old lady, I'm saying, she goes and she's like, my food stamps card, for food that she bought, right?
Yep.
Which is what you're supposed to use
Yep.
it for. Unfortunately, this card is busted to hell. It is almost in shards. Most of the things have been rubbed off
Oh no.
from use. And it's just not working no matter what she does. And for a good 10 minutes. Actually, no. Sorry. 20 minutes, it's just like, we tried everything. We tried lowering the amount. anything possible so that this damn thing would work. And at the end of it, none of it worked. So it's like, we're gonna just post void it because it's not going nowhere. And I feel bad about it, but I'm also frustrated. Like, at this point, it's very clear from how heavily mangled that the card is. That it's like,
It's just
go get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are people behind her. So by the time me and Andrew got home last night, Andrew's my brother for the record.
Also a thing I don't think... Sorry. I know we have to, for new people who watch, we have to specify, but
Yeah.
I'm still joking for those who have watched that. Obviously, they would know, but yeah.
Yeah. We get home at 11, which is half an hour later than where we usually get home.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I'm like, this one upset me.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've been doing this week, and this one is more fun and amusing. I went and I've been playing a lot of Minecraft this week.
Is it just because I know everybody in that house plays Minecraft? Is that
Everyone
part of it?
does, but I play it on the PS3 because I still have it on there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't join their games because that's not how that works.
I thought with the not the Java version, but the other version.
The Microsoft?
There's like a, I forget the name for it, but yeah.
Mm.
I thought there was cross play with one of the versions.
There probably is, but I don't think it's the one for the PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
So the way that game is, I'm gonna take my hand off the M&Ms.
Go ahead. You were saying that.
So the way that it loaded in, I was like, all right, because you've seen the world where I've already basically like done all the stuff I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I can never finish Minecraft because I always get to a point where I'm like, this is enough. I don't have to do anything more. So I was like, new world, reset from beginning, go. So I went, I explored, I filled in the map, which is a thing I like to do in games so I can just go wherever.
Yeah.
So
I know what we're going to be doing when we play Baldur's Gate 3 together, because they use the cloud, the I forget the name of it now.
The like generated.
Well, the enemy, the Fog of War map style, where you have to clear it out to get the map, which is what Minecraft also is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I settle for like this little house on like the very bottom left corner of the world. Unfortunately, there are like two kind of mountain areas next to my house. So I don't know why. I just got fed up with looking at them. So for the entirety of this week, starting on Monday to earlier this morning, all I did, because I'd got done with exploring and collecting tools and all that, was break down those mountains.
Sounds very similar to something I don't know if you remember these stories, but when I was back when Shaylee had a Minecraft server, Shayla Run, because we've had her on the show before for High Republic Adventures. Yep. She had a server back in the day, back when she was more active, and the spawn points sucked.
Yeah.
Because it was just all terracotta. Just a bunch of terracotta mountains. Which is not exactly ideal for creating your village for a multiplayer server.
No, I don't imagine.
So they hunted, her and Cal looked for a different spot to find, and they found a different spot that was like a good ways away from the spawn point. And so I, for the sake of when new people came into the server, created a minecart train system that went from the spawn point all the way to the new village. And then even then I was like, you know what? I want to get rid of these freaking mountains. So I started from the top, just mining and getting rid of it. So I just had a bunch of terracotta, and I even built a little house to stay in within the mountain as I was doing this work, so
It's
that way
very
I didn't have to
amusing
go to.
that at separate points, both of us have like seen a place and we're like,
This is ugly.
fuck that mountain. It's gotta go.
Look, terracotta mountains in Minecraft are not pretty. They suck. Microsoft, don't get rid of terracotta mountains. Nobody likes them.
The other thing about this world, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of villages. There's like a pirate ship.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, like beached, right?
Yeah, because you can find some
Yeah.
treasure if you go.
Found a treasure map. I don't know how the fuck treasure maps work in Minecraft.
I don't either, but I also haven't played Minecraft in
a while.
A few years.
Yeah. And so the main thing that kills me is I will wander off quite a bit.
As one tends to do. It is Minecraft.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll go into caves. The problem that I'm having is that when I go in and I like clear out a cave, right? I have this problem. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Wrong pipe.
With every video game at some point, regardless of what the genre is, I will get hopelessly lost and have no idea where the fuck I'm supposed to go. Even in games like BioShock Infinite,
Yeah,
which specifically have buttons that you can press with arrows to tell you where to go.
kind of like with Dead Space, where it has the, like, here, go here.
Mm-hmm. I'm like... So I tend to get lost. In Minecraft, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because Minecraft, you actually can get lost, whereas in other games, it's a little harder to get lost. Usually, for me, it's not that I'm getting lost, it's that I'm purposefully going the other direction, because RPGs have taught me go the opposite direction of the story to get the most loot.
And so, what I will normally do is follow the torches back to the entrance, right? Which is a good system.
Yeah, like, kind of like put the torches all on one side so that way you can follow them back.
I didn't think about that.
Oh, is that where the story's going? Is that you did?
Kind of where the story is going. In that, unfortunately, because of my exploration and mining and, like, putting torches like, oh, this place is, like, 15 to 20 blocks more than I thought it would be. I don't want anything to spawn in here and get me on the way back.
Yeah.
Better put a torch here.
Which messes up your Hansel and Gretel torch system.
Yeah. Or like, oh, I've mined all this bit. Oh, there's 2 different ways to go here.
You know what? You know what would be great to use as a trail system?
What?
If you get enough of it, redstone.
That would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
It's hard to... You'd have to get a lot of it, but, I mean...
Yeah.
Which redstone is still kind of
Kinda
rare.
hard to find. It's not impossible.
It's not the rarest material, but it's still rare.
Yeah.
Like, there's still way rarer stuff in Minecraft.
Yeah. Usually, I like making boats in Minecraft because they make world exploration so much easier.
Yeah, instead of bobbing in the ocean trying to swim. But yeah.
But that's the other thing I do with my week. What about you, man?
More
Baldur's Gate?
More Baldur's Gate. I did finish some books. I had to do 3 book reviews this past week. I talked about the new High Republic for Light and Life short story collection. Pretty good. I recommended all the books I talked about this week. There was a Haunted Mansion book that came out too from Claudia Gray, one of our favorite authors around here.
Okay.
So it's called Haunted Mansion Storm and Shade, and it's takes place in New Orleans, which
I would imagine so.
yeah, which is where the recent movie takes place there as well, but Haunted Mansion has not always existed in New Orleans, as far as I understand. Like the Disney Haunted Mansion. But also fits because Claudia Gray is also from New Orleans, so like being able to write that is, you can really tell that as somebody who lived there, she really appreciated the details of getting that right for the city and kind of having it be its own character, because New Orleans is known to kind of just be its own character as a city. And of course, it works well as a young adult kind of light horror novel. Like it's got still some scary stuff, but it's like light horror. It's not trying to be like legitimate like Lovecraftian or anything scary. It's not trying to be a Stephen King book, but it's doing what it needs to.
Oh, fun fact so you know that I wrote like some short stories for a friend of ours. The protagonist of those is also from New Orleans.
Oh,
That's where most of those stories are set.
cool.
A city I have never been to.
But we live close enough and we know the culture, and you've probably at least had friends that have either lived there or
I've had family that's visited there every once in a while.
So it's not like you're completely. It's not like it's a complete unknown.
Yeah, like it's not entirely unknown. I've never actually. I was going to say I've never been there, and I realized that's a lie because I went there on an ROTC trip for the military museum they have there.
And then the last book I did was Spider-Man's Bad Connection, which was a Spider-Man book. Not MCU tied in or anything. It was just, it's part of this young adult line that Marvel does that it's pretty good. So it was a sequel to another Spider-Man book, so I did not read the first book. But
some context missing.
Some context missing, but I think they did a good job of like trying to get the important and relevant information in. Like the stuff that I knew at most was like, oh, Sandman was one of the main antagonists in the first book, and also that was kind of the start of Spider-Man's career, and there's a new sort of villain that I've never heard of that's almost Venom-like, but it's more technology-based. Like, so it does make people have, like, the anger flare-up and rage and all that, but it's connected to the technology, and that it, like, lives in the cell phones and can do stuff like that. And then this book had the Spot as the bad guy, which Spot's been becoming a very more well-known villain thanks to him being in more pop culture recently. Which I like the Spot as a villain. Not my number one Spider-Man villain, but he is up there. Spider-Man Rogues Gallery is almost as good as, possibly even arguably better than Batman's, depending who you ask.
I'm not going to argue that doesn't have its merits.
I'd say it's at least as good.
I will give it that.
I'd say it's at least as good. Because, like, Batman's villains are the ones you immediately think of, and so are Spider-Man's villains. I think those Rogues Galleries are the ones that, like, people know, even if they've never read a comic.
You know who they are. People know who Sandman is.
Yeah. And so
Sandman, Green Goblin. People know who those are.
Yep, just like you know who the Joker is, who Penguin is.
Because pop culture and everything.
Yeah. Also, I think their villains are just recognizable. And in the case of Spider-Man, in the case of Marvel in general, Stan Lee always had the approach of name things very simplistically so you could remember them. It's why a lot of names have the alliteration in Marvel, because you've got the Peter Parker, and so the Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So that's so you remember the names, and you can. I mean, I think I take a lot of that similar approach when it comes to my writing, not to toot my own horn in a way, but like.
Yeah. Simplicity is not bad.
As somebody who has read my material, you know that I am very simplistic with names. Like the main antagonist of my main universe is named the Evil King. There you go.
Name the second name evil, last name King.
So you realize that Evil King is a title. It's not a.
Yeah.
It's not an actual name. It's a moniker. And so like, but once again, though,
Meanwhile-
it's very simple. It's very simple. You know who that is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. In that people will, for the most part, characters when I write them, will have normal sounding names,
Yeah.
except they'll be stupidly long for like no reason. And I've also been meaning to ask you,
Uh-oh.
did you get around to it?
Have you ever seen Harvey Birdman?
No. No, I know who he is and what he does. He's like an attorney or a
Yeah,
lawyer.
it's a not Cartoon Network, Adult Swim show.
Yeah. In a
Which I guess is technically
Hanna-Barbera style, right?
Yeah, because it's a spoof of classic Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, it reminds me of a moment you asking me that. There's a character on the show
Mhm.
who is consistently asking anybody, "Did you get that thing I sent you?"
I know I've sent it to you.
No. I know you have, but it just makes me think of that. Now I have to share that with the
Look,
audience.
man, if you need an audio thing, I will.
Oh, you'll do an
I
audiobook
will
for me?
fucking do a goddamn thing for you. I understand you're busy.
It would probably help, actually. 'Cause then
Are you gonna read in double? You gonna listen in double speed?
No, but I'll listen to it while I'm on my way to like work. So like I doubt like altogether the trilogy could be more than an hour, which my drive to work is
You
about
might be
an hour.
surprised. The first time I read one for Kiari was like, because Kiari is a friend of ours who I also write stories for.
Which we've talked about Kiari on the show. He does the D&D game you're part of.
That was 18 minutes reading it out from start to finish. Admittedly, that was the one that had
That's
been
still pretty short.
edited.
I mean, that's
yeah.
still not too bad.
So it might barely break an hour if I read out all
Yeah.
3 of them.
Whoop, you good?
Yeah,
Here we go. Hold on. Here it is.
I don't want to.
Shh. Birdman. Shh. Shensha.
Hold on.
But I don't know what I'm doing.
Nonsense. Look at me. Look at me. Now listen very closely to these words
Oh,
with all your
That's
heart.
not the part I'm thinking.
Okay.
Do you?
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are here to answer the question that, frankly, is never far from my own mind is... You
Get
get that
that
thing.
thing.
Did you get that thing? That, I sent you.
Like, yeah, and of course he asks it in a lot of different ways on that show. But yeah, that's one of the more well known ones is him doing it to the court. But yeah, it's I love that show. I've not watched the sequel show about Bird Girl, but I've heard it's good.
For context, behind the scenes, this has been going on for weeks.
Probably a month.
Longer than a month.
Yeah. He's been writing some stuff for me, and he's trying to get me to read it. I just haven't had time to sit down.
Proofreading, motherfucker. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Although, in fairness, you are very busy.
Yeah. But
you
yeah.
usually don't have as much, for lack of a better term, free time as I do.
I haven't even been writing my own stuff lately. Other than like reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, so I did those 3 books. What else have I been up to? Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Uh,
Speaking of Baldur's Gate, did you get done with the
I have not finished the trilogy. I'm on book 3.
You're working on it?
Yeah, I'm on book 3. Book 2, same issues as book 1, just exemplified. They made Minsk a redhead. Because Minsk isn't in the first book. but they made him like a ginger. It's not also relevant to the story. He appears, and then they leave him at one of the main bars, like one of the main taverns that's in the game, and they just leave him there.
Goodbye.
Like he now works there, and that's it. Just like, what a waste of having Minsk in your story.
I was thinking about this earlier. I cannot stand a protagonist that lacks agency,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like why
And
do
then-
something?
Yeah, and then I've started reading my next book review.
Yeah?
Continuing with the Marvel books because they keep approving me on NetGalley because I go to NetGalley for a lot of books that I get that aren't Star Wars.
Mm.
And so Hawkeye, there's a Hawkeye book coming out, but it's Kate Bishop Hawkeye.
Okay,
So
sorry, I didn't do that, but this little motion because I was like, oh, Hawkeye. No, I read what your shirt said.
oh yeah, this is my podcasting shirt. Yeah, I've had this for a minute. Stephanie from the Mobcast Network got me this.
Oh man.
And then eventually I got to start reading the next Star Wars book review I've got.
Yeah.
Because I do have that book. They gave me that book. It's my second physical book ever getting for an arc. I'm really happy about that, by the way. But I haven't sat down to start reading it yet because it doesn't come out till later next month.
All right.
Same thing with this book. Hawkeye doesn't really come out till next month, but it's early next month. And and it's the next book I've got. So I was just like, it's the next book I got. Might as well start reading it.
Yeah.
So far, I'm like 4 chapters in. I'm liking it. I mean, I also like Kate Bishop Hawkeye. I like Hawkeye in general. I'm actually one of the few people who defend Clint Barton as a Hawkeye in the MCU. Jeremy Renner is an issue of his own, but I think Clint Barton is not a bad character. I think Jeremy Renner is a bit problematic, but that's different. That's a whole nother... Anyways. Going away from that.
Yep.
Trying to think what else I've been up to.
Tell me.
It seems that this week Josh's D&D game's coming back, so tonight after I get off, I'll be working on. We're gonna be hanging out at least. I don't think we'll be playing any sessions yet, but we'll be trying to get back to where Saturdays is D&D for goblins.
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you keep.
Oh,
going.
that's it.
That's
really.
it?
Yeah.
So my record has officially been broken for keeping characters alive.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So for one of Kiari's games, after, let's see, I started tabletop in 2016, 2017.
Sounds about right.
It has taken until now for one of my characters to have whole stop died. So that's a pretty long record. This isn't one game, mind you.
This is over, yeah.
This is over the course of several.
Yeah, because at least in my Star Wars games, neither of your characters are dead.
Yeah. But they're like, so far they've been like the only like non-force users in games that I've played. Somehow they're the one that's alive.
Yeah.
But then again,
Well, one of them's retired.
one of them's retired with big air quotes around retired.
Yeah, we think that retirement might... Well, one, we're going to have to time travel and reset the storyline because we're going to have to redo those because I lost the audio, as I've discussed on previous episodes.
I get to make new decisions.
But yeah. What was I saying? Oh, but yeah.
Yeah. So that happened, and in this one, we're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and my character has died to dinosaurs and poison. The poison came from the dinosaurs.
No, I figured.
Well,
then wouldn't it be technically venomous?
no, it's a dinosaur.
But if it's coming from a creature, it's venom, not poison.
The distinction matters little to me.
But the biological
All
distinction
venom
is there.
is poison, but not all
No,
poison is venom.
The distinction is there. Look, it's the
And
principle.
The thing is, because it's like set in the weird post-apocalyptic thing, the next thing I'm gonna have to do, because I was talking with Kiari about it, and I'm like, because he was being very
Coy?
coy, yeah, actually, that's a very good word. I was like, so do I need to make a new character, or no? And he's like, not yet. And I was like, what do you mean, not yet?
That was kind of me on the first session of Acquisitions Incorporated, which is the D&D show you can watch on our Patreon.
Yeah.
The first episode, somebody dies.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, don't worry about anything yet.
Yeah. And so now, the thing that I'm gonna have to do is essentially our characters have been given seeds. And they're like weird and a lot of magic in them.
Yep.
And we're not the only people who have them. So now we've essentially been like summoned to this weird plane, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to figure out how to plead my case to be revived. And I'm like, Hermos was going to go into politics. This is a very strange beginning move of die and then plead your case to be brought back. I'm like, how? What?
So that's what we've been up to this
Yeah.
week. We do have some news to get into before we get into today's topic. I did say that today's episode is going to be shorter, but it looks like it's not.
We lied.
We lied.
Well, technically, you lied.
So, a couple news pieces. New novel was announced.
Yes.
IO9, the website, news site, broke that John Jackson Miller is writing probably already written, but a new book from him is coming out for Star Wars called Star Wars The Living Force. And it is set 1 year before The Phantom Menace. And so it's going to follow each member of the Jedi Council and kind of just follow them leading up to the events of The Phantom Menace. I think this is an interesting, especially with the High Republic kind of starting to wrap up. I think this is a natural story to tell. Because we don't have a lot of canon pre-Phantom Menace stuff other than the High Republic. Also, I like John Jackson Miller. He's one of my favorite Star Wars authors. I followed him for a long time, specifically for his Knights of the Republic comics. Y'all have heard me give my spiel of how I like Zane Carrick as a character. He also was the person who got to write the first canon book once the canon reset happened. He did A New Dawn, which is a story about Kanan and kind of sets up the story of Rebels. Gives us the first appearance of Kanan and Hera. And then for Legends, he also did the Kenobi novel, which got a lot of attention last year because of a show that came out connected to that.
You don't say.
Yeah. I'm playing coy for a reason. But yeah. But yeah, they released the cover. It looks pretty cool. I like the cover. It's very almost classic Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'll pop it up real quick for our audience. So, I like it. It's very, like I said, it's very classic Star Wars. You got Yoda and Yaddle, and you got all the council members essentially right there. Um, which, with it being about the Jedi Council, that makes sense. Feels like this will be more of a story about the Force and about the Jedi and kind of some of them believing that they're at decline at this point because we're out of the High Republic era. Actually, here's the IO9 presented a synopsis. In the year before the Phantom Menace, Yoda, Mace Windu, and the entire Jedi Council confront a galaxy on the brink of change. The Jedi have always traveled the stars defending peace and justice across the galaxy, but the galaxy is changing, and along with it, the Jedi Order. More and more, the Order finds itself focused on the future of the Republic, secluded on Coruscant, where the 12 members of the Jedi Council weigh crises on a galactic scale. As yet another Jedi outpost left over from the Republic's golden age is set to be decommissioned on the planet Quinn, Qui-Gon Jinn challenges the Council about the increasing isolation of the Order. Mace Windu suggests a bold response. All 12 Jedi Masters will embark on a goodwill mission to help the planet and remind the people of the galaxy that the Jedi remain as stalwart and present as they have been across the ages. But the arrival of the Jedi leadership is not seen by all as a cause for celebration. Warring pirate factions have infested the sector in the increasing absence of the Jedi. To maintain their dominance, the pirates unite, intent on assassinating the Council, and they are willing to destroy countless innocent lives to secure their power. Cut off from Coruscant, the Jedi Masters must reckon with an unwelcome truth, that while no one thinks more about the future than the Jedi Council, nobody needs their help more than those living in the present. So... this is going to be another hit piece for you. This is another Jedi hit piece.
Jedi hit piece. My notorious hatred for the Jedi.
You're the J. Jonah Jameson of Jedi. You're just keeping them in check. You're not. You don't hate them. You are just making sure that they're kept in check.
Held accountable. Listen, motherfuckers. Admittedly, I would freak out if, because this is during peacetime.
Yeah, this is
if
just...
12 Jedi showed up on the planet, I would lose my mind.
I'm trying to think of the Dark Horse
comic. Because, holy shit, man.
There was a Dark Horse comic from Legends that's very similar in the idea of having the Jedi Council all on a mission. And it also takes place before the events of... Acts of War. Here it is. Takes place once again a year before the Phantom Menace. Let's see. Premise of that was in the days of the Old Republic, before the threat of the Phantom Menace, the Jedi Council guides the Jedi Knights as defenders of peace and justice throughout the galaxy. When a brutal conflict arises, 2 Jedi are dispatched by... okay, never mind. So it's not the whole council. But I think there was a good chunk of the council being involved with that storyline, because even on the cover it shows Mace Windu, Yaddle, Plo Koon, Evan Peel, and Sassy 10. Or, sorry, Yoda, not Yaddle. But yeah, I think the premise is similar, but different enough that it's its own story. Once again, John Jackson Miller, I'm always happy to see in writing Star Wars books. He also writes good Star Trek books, from what I've heard. I have not sat down and read a Star Trek book, but...
I don't think I have either.
But yeah. So yeah, another book to look out for. Last piece of news, Jedi Survivor got a new patch for the console version. That makes it to where it now has a solid 60 it's for PC and console. It's basically for PC more so. It fixes the 60 FPS, stabilizes it, because I remember on PC it was rough. If you were playing on PC for Jedi Survivor.
Little janky.
Yeah, just a little janky. So, it fixes that and helps with quality mode and for the PS5, and because on PS5 you had the quality versus performance mode. So, kind of needed update. So, glad that people who needed it. I didn't run into too many issues, but I was also on PS5, so...
yeah. God, that was a fun game. Only got to play the starting level, but it was a fun starting level.
But you got to experience the story still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I explained this back when we were doing this, this was at the same time I was playing like both Elden Ring and Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, the controls were fucking damn you muscle memory because
Yeah, your
sometimes I would
memory
try
would do
to-
one thing.
I would be like, ah, yes, because the gameplay is very similar.
Yeah,
I would try and pull off like a Bloodborne parry, which is not the same.
my problem is going from because at that time I was still at the early parts of my Demon Souls run, which I'm
Mhm.
still doing. At the Jedi, so like Jedi Survivor would throw me off because I would play some Jedi Survivor on a stream, and then I would go off stream to play Elden Ring,
Yeah.
or not Elden Ring, but like Demon Souls.
Demon Souls remake.
And Square's attack in the Jedi games.
Yeah.
Don't hit square to attack in a Soulsborne.
No. 'Cause
That
it's
is how
not
you-
the attack button.
It's the take your leaves
It's the drink button. Or the
or the eat your leaves in,
Yeah.
in Demon Souls.
oh god.
Munch, munch, munch. And then I would hit that and then immediately regret it and be like, I can't undo that. I can't stop it mid animation. It just. It's just like, there goes a
Yeah.
leaf that I probably needed later.
I had a similar instance while playing Elden Ring and also Bloodborne. So in Elden Ring, the like you can press triangle and that brings up like your menu and everything. But in Bloodborne, that's the heal button.
Yeah, so similarly,
Yeah.
very like straight up just the same instance of I'm healing. Oh crap, I needed that for later.
Yeah. And in terms of like Jedi Survivor, left bumper is the like deflect or parry button.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne, left trigger is your gun parry,
Yeah.
in which you'll just like enemy will attack you, and if you time it right, you'll just blast them in the face for a visceral. You just go and yank out their innards, which is very violent, but Bloodborne's a violent game.
Yep.
I don't know if you could tell by the title.
So
But short
Yeah.
story time?
yeah, it's time to talk about today's topic, which is Galactic Tales Shockwave. We are gonna, since it's a short story, we're just gonna go over the whole story.
Yeah.
So this is your spoiler warning.
Yep.
It is found in this month's Star Wars Insider. So if you want to read it for yourself, go pick up this month's Star Wars Insider. It's short, but there's also other stuff. Like if you end up not liking it, there's other stuff in that magazine to check out, like a lot of behind the scenes. I know Lydia Kang dropped an interview. So one of the High Republic authors, the one who did Cataclysm
Oh, okay.
and Convergence, yeah, or Convergence. She did Convergence.
Okay.
So kind of brought us some of a lot of people's favorite characters like Fontu and Ziri and Axel. I say it that way for a reason.
That's Ziri's last name.
Hmm?
Ziri's last name is Allbarn, right?
Yep, Ziri Albar and
Okay.
Fontu.
I keep thinking it's Leech. It's not.
No,
That's a different character.
that's a very different character.
in a very different time.
Yeah.
I think it might just be Fontu.
Yeah. I think he has a last name because he's also like the
Yeah.
because he's the adopted son of the monarchy of that planet. Anyways. And then of course Axel is Axel Greylark because you got the
And I
Greylarks.
could not. She's very important. The lead.
Oh, Gelia.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for this one though, this is written by Alexander Freed, who I think does a lot of good Star Wars writing. He's done more of the war. Like he really likes to write war stories and stuff like that. He did the Battlefront Twilight Company book, which is literally just a bunch of soldiers and stuff. He's also done a lot of Old Republic writing, although he's no longer on the Old Republic writing team for the video game because he wrote stuff for the video game. I think he also did the Alphabet Squadron books, which we haven't gotten to yet. But you probably heard of
Yeah,
about
I've
them.
heard of them. You've mentioned them.
They're
a few
like
times.
they're basically the canon version of like the X-wing novels, where it focuses on a group of pilots within the rebellion. Um, and this is very much in line with his type of writing, because so this story is a tie into the whole 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi that we've been celebrating this year
Yeah.
with a lot of books and short stories.
40 years.
Yeah. You know what's going to be really old for me?
What?
In 2 years, we have the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Damn.
2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years. Which is when also the next Star Wars Celebration is, which makes sense. Skip next year, because
Yeah.
there's nothing really big to talk about, and then the year after is 20th
Yeah.
anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, so it's a big event, tentpole one. And by then, movies should be coming back, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So this story follows the tale of Isiora, however you want
I
to pronounce
read it as Ka Isiora.
Isiora, okay, and it's basically literally the end of Return of the Jedi. It's just the Death Star getting blown up,
Yeah.
and then the repercussions of that. And
Do you have any thoughts about this, like, as a whole?
I think it's a story that is supposed to be hopeful, but we as an audience know that there's things that aren't going to be happy.
So,
And I was talking about that with you before.
Yeah.
Because you want to be happy for Ka.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, within like 40 years, things are going to go down the shitter.
Yeah. There's that. But that's not... I couldn't give less of a fuck. Like, I read it, and I don't know if this was, like, when you send it, almost immediately after, right? And I read it from start to finish.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's because I was tired, and I didn't reread this one, like most of the short stories. I was just, at this morning, I was like, all right, whatever. I considered it and then decided I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I can't care about this protagonist.
I kind of did, because I felt bad for like...
I didn't. And the reason why.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Death Star. Blown up. Understand, like, that's going to send everybody into a frenzy. A lot of things are going to happen really quickly.
Yeah.
However...
Because we see the immediate repercussions of that, of like people panicking over whether or not... Because one, there's still a lot of TIE fighters and stormtroopers out there that still have to be... You still have to wrap up this fight. Because the battle is not over.
The battle's not over just because the Death Star is gone.
Yeah.
One, I don't care much about dogfighting or pilot stories.
Okay. So then,
There's that.
this was just not... Yeah, so this was just not the story
And
for
then,
you.
the second half is like her reflecting essentially on whether or not she should break up with her boyfriend. And I'm like, really? And also like her being like, I care for my droid. And I'm like, that's fine. Droid, I actually really understand that because you've gone through a lot with this droid. But also it's the like, won't. Should I tell him that I don't think we should be together? Or...
I didn't
But
read
I'm
it.
also like really concerned because I still want him to be alive. And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
I guess I missed that. I just didn't read it that way as a will they won't they story.
Like it's not a will they won't they. It's a do I want to keep pursuing this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she seems to be torn between I think I should tell him we should break up, and also please be alive, please be alive, please be alive. And I'm like, I understand things are kind of stressful right now.
On top of
But
her
this
being blinded.
Yeah.
Because she literally was at like almost 0.0 of the Death Star blowing
Yeah.
up. But
I just couldn't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, I think my issue with it is that it tries to do, in my opinion, 4 things at once and ends up failing at all of them. this is probably the meanest I've ever been to a story on this show.
This is probably also going to be our biggest disagreement.
You can like it.
Yeah. No. I'm not.
It
I'm not
has-
going to fight. Like, I'm not going to argue.
It has valid points.
Yeah.
Most of them, it isn't poorly written. It's just a disconnect, I think.
I think the big thing is it just wasn't the story for you.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't appeal to anything that you have interest in.
Yeah. On the other
Yeah.
hand, though, and this one is taking a step back from this story and looking at like Star Wars as an entity unto itself. There are times when I think maybe Star Wars is a bit too, it's big, but it's vacuous at times, which is both good and bad. Because if it's big, you can fill in stuff wherever you'd like. But on other ones, it's like some areas are in so much detail. The whole, like, we know who's doing what, where, and when all the time. And for me, it's like, I don't need to know that they wore, like, blue PJs on Tuesday at 4:35 in the afternoon for some reason.
Although it is nice having Count Dooku's pajamas being a big thing in Star Wars.
I forgot he wears pajamas.
He has that nice silk pajamas,
Yeah.
too. He is a count, so...
Yeah, that makes sense. But, like, I think to me it's the, like, just pick a thing to be concerned about, lady.
I think it makes sense, though, that she can't pick a thing. Because, like you said, there's, like, chaos going on. So I think, as a character, it makes sense to be
It
chaotic
does.
in this moment.
It makes sense, but also I'm just like...
As a reader, it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Um,
Because, like, things happen,
yeah.
but she doesn't have any impact on it.
Yeah, because unfortunately, her agency is gone.
Yeah.
Like, the story is not about what is she doing to help save people. It's how is she responding to what's going
Yeah.
on at this point, because she's done her part. And now she's blinded from it because explosions.
Yeah, because
at
being
that,
point blank at an explosion is not good for your eyesight.
no, especially one
Doctor
that size.
diagnoses that as a bad thing.
And unfortunately, there's not a lot she can do because that's
Yeah.
just like that's just realistic.
Just- Got banged up.
So they send her droid out. They send her X-wing out without her because they're like, look, we need as many ships as we can out there, whether it's looking for other survivors or fighting what's left.
Yeah.
And so sends out Melody, her droid, M3 LOD.
You know, I think earlier this morning I had to look up the protagonist's name again
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, oh, Talem is the boyfriend, Melody is the droid. What the hell is the protagonist's name?
She does have a. Oh, excuse me. She does have a Star Wars-y
It is.
name that's like forgettable because it's the opposite of the Stan Lee effect is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars has these names that are just
If they're not three different syllables treated as one word.
yeah. I mean, but on the other end of Star Wars names, you also have Luke,
Yeah.
which is the most basic of basic names.
Yeah.
No offense to the Lukes that we know out there, but it's. I mean, you don't think Luke when you think Star Wars.
Yeah.
You think like Ninub or Akbar. Or you think of the out there names.
Yeah.
Wicket.
Oh.
Ka Isiora. Like
Who?
the main protagonist of this one.
Yeah.
I
I thought her name before I looked
Isiora,
it up.
yeah.
I was thinking, like, is it Niobe? Isolde?
Nope.
That doesn't seem right at all.
Star Wars names for sure, but
Yeah.
no, not this one.
No, I was like, wait a minute. I know where I know those names. Those are mythology names.
Yeah.
Those are wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, and then of course we get the reason for why she's worried about
Yeah.
her partner because we learn that the reason that the droid goes back out there is because the attachment to her partner, who without Isiora and Tellum meeting with Melody, without them finding Melody, they would not be part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of just living their own life, staying out of the radar of the Empire. And then they went to go get destroyed, and ever since then, they've been part of this war. And now that there's a chance for peace, I think the question of
what now?
And I think the what now is what's scaring her.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't read this as a will. Why I didn't read it as a will they won't they in terms of like her relationship with Tenem, because I read it as what do I want with him. Like it was more of a what kind of life will I have with him after this. Because her and Tellum had trauma bonded essentially.
Yeah.
At this and for those of you who don't know, trauma bonding is not known for being the best way for relationships to last in the long run.
No.
Like they're great for starting a relationship, but they're not great for taking it all the way. You need more than that.
Not great for keeping them in the long haul.
Yeah, you need more than that for a relationship.
Yep.
And I think this is her kind of finding what the rest of their relationship is built on outside of the trauma.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of it, they stay together because she finds that there's other things that connect them. Also, they now have a life where they can try, even if they don't have anything connecting them, they can try to see if they have something now that life is calmed.
As I reading it as I understood it, it was okay, good, you're alive. Now what?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna find out. Because I think the hand holding at the end is because they hold each other's hands at the end, is a signifier of we're gonna try and see what the future holds. Now that we're together again. Now that we both survived this.
Yeah. That's a way. Both of these are ways that it can be read.
I mean, and that's not to take away your interpretation, because we talked about interpretations.
Yeah.
It's not to take away your interpretation, nor is it to say that nor are you saying the same thing with mine. We are just going, these are our interpretations.
When did you read this, by the way? Because that might have something to do with it.
A little more recent. Because I read it yesterday.
Okay. Because I read it, like I said, at Wednesday at
when
6 a.m.
Yeah, so I read it while I was at a little after I got off work yesterday.
And for me, 6 a.m. is right before I usually go to sleep. Because I just had a busy work week this week.
Yep.
And it's
and then we get a cameo from Akbar also.
Oh yeah, he's in this.
Just his voice.
Giving a speech.
Just his voice, but he's here. Basically going, hey, we've done it, but now we gotta take it all the way.
Clean it up.
Yep. And so,
it's
not the strongest story out there, but I mean, it's not the worst either.
It's well written. It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm. And I'd say it's not my favorite that we've done on the show.
And it's
far from it, actually.
Yeah. I think the other thing is I'm a little bit used to other writers, and this one.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of Alexander Freed on the show.
Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh to him because I haven't seen their other work. Because it's kind of.
I think you'll like you like Rogue One, so I think you'll like his Rogue One novelization.
Okay.
Because he does a good job. Now, one of the things he's not the best at is combat, all the time. He's not great at fight scenes.
A man who is not after my heart.
Yeah, unfortunately. He's good at creating character dynamics, which is I think what this is. And I think
I will agree with that one. I'll agree with that one. This one is more character drama to me than anything else.
And that's something he's really good with. which is great for like war stories. War stories, it's you definitely want your band of brothers or whatever to be like your focus, and I think he's good at doing that. I think we are kind of speeding along with the episode now because we've kind of talked about all the main points that there is to talk about.
Yeah, I thought. Sorry, I didn't.
You didn't think when you asked that question that was just going to be the review.
Yeah.
But it ended up being. I'd give it probably a 6.5.
Yeah. I'd even give it a 5.
Which coming from you, that's
Yeah. Usually, like, I'm not sure. I think like the lowest I've ever given something on the show is like a 4.
I can't remember what it was for.
I think I'm gonna give this one a 5.
I'd say if you like war stories and you like more character driven stuff, this could be up your alley. As long as you don't mind that they're not like main characters that you know, like as long as you understand that these are behind the scenes characters that aren't like main Star Wars characters, and you're okay with that, which a lot of Star Wars fans are. A lot of Star Wars fans kind of go, "Oh, I like seeing the characters that nobody knows," and I think this works on that. You just have to be somebody who's into that. And I think it works on a character-driven level. It's not the strongest of Alexander's writings, in my opinion. But I hope you'll like more of his work whenever we get to it. I think that's everything for this that we want to talk about regarding this. So yeah, thank you all for watching today's episode of Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I've been your host, Caleb. Be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe to us. You can find us at Escape Reality Films on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. You can also show your support for us by joining our Patreon, which is at Escape Reality Films. Shout out to Jennifer Brantley.
Yo.
There you can watch our YouTube content a week before it's publicly available, although currently you can watch content at this point. We're almost hitting 2 months of content. Mainly because I've been just still making YouTube content while only doing making most of the normal stuff that I've been doing Baldur's Gate 3 live streams. Once we finish Baldur's Gate 3, then we'll go back to normal. Yeah, once I finish Baldur's Gate 3, we'll go back to normal programming.
Upgrades.
Normal programming. Although all that might come to a pause if the video game strike happens, because that's in talks right now. Because right now the SAG after actors that work on voice acting for video games are talking about also going on strike, which that's been honestly a long one in the making. That voice actors have for a long time needed to go on strike, I think.
It's hard out here, man.
Especially video game voice actors. Like but if you've been missing my runs of Demon Souls, or you want to check out my Acquisitions Incorporated D&D game that I talked about earlier on the show, that's how you can do it for $10 a month. You can also find, which if the video game thing does go on hold, then I think the channel will just be tabletop stuff for a minute, and maybe some other. Yeah, it'll probably just be tabletop stuff, because that tabletops and book reviews. That's what's gonna be left. Maybe I'll start doing comic book reviews. I'll have to get more comics outside of the Star Wars stuff. You can also find me on Twitter at EscapeReality94 and Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Caleb.Lockwood. We'd like to thank our friends at Mobcast Network and Gamers and Geeks for providing this space to us.
Thank you.
Mobcast Network is a podcasting group that I produce and co-host with, where we talk about classic movies on their show, Cult Movie Cantina. Currently, we're on hiatus, but if you want to catch up on some episodes, you can watch us at youtube.com/Mobcast Network. You can find them on any fine podcasting app at Mobcast Network, or on facebook.com/Cult Movie Cantina. Gamers and Geeks is our local gaming shop here in Mobile, Alabama. So if you're ever out this way and looking for some tabletop, card, or board games, you should check them out off of Howes Ferry and Moffett Road in the shopping center here next to the Piggly Wiggly. We also have Engage Gaming in the same building, who offer hourly in-house console renting. Here you can play on PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, and even VR. They also sell games, so if you want something classic or modern, they might have what you're looking for. They also offer a monthly membership where you can have the hourly rental rate reduced slightly. So come check all of our friends out. Speaking of other friends you can check out, Seth.
You can catch me and some friends of ours over at the Steam Dungeon on YouTube every Sunday from 5 to 7 Central Standard Time.
If you want to watch live.
If you want to watch it live. Otherwise, it's
There's still the VOD.
Still the VOD on Steam Dungeon.
Yep.
I got hired to do a hit. Well, not hired, but it's in discussion because meanwhile, with the rest of the group, they're dealing with some failed assassination attempts.
Oh boy.
Unfortunately, one of the weird things is Simon, the character that I play, is going around and just talking to like a bunch of powerful people in the city, and no one is stopping him because what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Are you gonna fight a barbarian in a suit? Heavily consider this.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah. But meanwhile, like a bunch of the gods have issued an open challenge to like go and find a tomb and bring a thing back. Meanwhile, my character and another guy are still competing in the Colosseum. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different points moving about. Some people are splitting off to go and do their own thing. Some of us are staying in the city. Some of us are trying to get family members out of contracts that are bad for them. One character is trying to perform an exorcism so their sister will be okay.
Oh. Because that has worked out in media before.
Yep. So, if you want to figure out what's going on, because I sure as hell can't, you can catch us at the Steam Dungeon, 5 to Central Standard Time.
5 to 7 Central Standard Time.
Yep,
There you go.
There we go. Other than that, though, not much going on right now.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for, once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next week with the High Republic Phase 2, Volume 2, Balance of the Force, where we're going to finish the comic arc with Vildar, Maddie, and Tesseric.
Yeah.
And I've spoken.
Y'all have a good one.